Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
As unbelievable as it sounds, this is another Arsenal podcast. That is the Away Gooners podcast. We bring news and reaction from Arsenal fans from all over the world.
Hi everyone, welcome to the another episode. Actually, it's the 25th episode of the Away Gooners podcast. We've got we've got Bob back with us. Hi, Bob.
Hello. Welcome back, Bob.
Yeah,
Making it special, the main man.
yeah. And for all,
I didn't definitely want to miss the 25th episode. So whether I'm going to talk about football or not, I thought at least I should be there somewhere in the pod.
Yeah, thank you so much, because this is the core group that started this. So I just wanted everyone to be back. And for all Deepak fans, he'll be back next week probably. So yeah, and it's a really good episode to come back to, Bob. We won against Leeds with 4 goals and an Aubameyang hat-trick and a great performance. Actually, I felt it was a great game as such. Probably people would think not so much, but for me, it was a very engaging game. Not just that Leeds, we know Leeds would always come to us with fight and everything. And our players went ahead and we played on front foot, which was really good to see. And it was a pretty entertaining game. Arun, what are your thoughts on the game?
The Leeds game, with your introduction and you're talking with Bob, I thought you were really going to be asking him the first.
No, I'll go back to him because he's a special guest. So we'll just reserve him for special comments and stuff.
Yeah, so the league games. Okay, the league games, I believe like this is probably the blueprint that Arteta wants to implement, and that is actually taking shape. Everyone was talking about like what is Arteta's team, including you asking us what Arteta's team was all about. And this you see here is what Arteta's team is all about. This plan, the way in which we played against Leeds was not supposed to work as well as it did. If you think about it, take away the fact that Leeds had some players missing and all that. But this pairing of Xhaka and Ceballos was not supposed to be playing as well as they did. And Bielsa told after the game that, this was getting past that midfield pairing was difficult. That is the progress for me that the team has made. A guy like Ceballos, who's so prone to making all these mistakes, tries to dance his way out of trouble, gets himself into trouble and doesn't get out of trouble, was able to, play a big role in influencing the overall outcome of the game, influencing how we played in the game. So this is a very positive sign for me. This is like great news for the next season. And for me, the impact of this game is just it has made me really excited for the next season, if I could say that. So that for me is the biggest impact that I saw from the game. The result 4-2, great result. If that was a weakness, if there was a weakness, probably that was it. We were 4-0 up. We should have scored probably another goal. That Leeds would definitely try to score goals. So making it easier for them was a bit annoying. Imagine having another better team there against us. They would have probably drawn the game. It was for me, the only thing flashing in my head was Newcastle. I was like, no.
even the commentators are commenting like, this week 4 years ago, or how long was it? Yeah. So
when it went to 4-2, that was I was praying, I was like, please, don't do that again. I cannot take that again. So that was probably the weakness. But apart from that, I felt like we had a really very good game. The passing was on point. The people who played on the pitch were really good. Odegaard was really good, and so was ESR. So everybody who played there, and Saka, man, we've got a gem in our hands. We hope.
Yeah, we need to talk more about Saka later. Save your plaudits for later.
Time, But yeah, for me, the game was great, and Aubameyang's hat-trick was icing on the cake.
LN's favorite team is actually the second favorite team is Leeds, and
the old Leeds.
like the current Leeds under Bielsa.
No. The point I wanted to make is that this is not a one-off game for Arsenal where we played like this. We played like this in Wolves. We played like this a little bit in Aston Villa. We played like this in a couple of games. It's not like first time we are doing this. Just that the first time we are scoring this much, where we have converted our chances, but we have had similar kind of performance. Like in the Wolves game, we actually had a similar kind of performance.
The very first half,
until
that penalty.
So it's the same thing with even I felt in Aston Villa game we had a similar kind of free-flowing game, just that we didn't finish our chances, and for some reason it didn't work on that day. So what do you think of the game, Ellen?
What I will do is like the Aston Villa part, why it didn't work, I'll come up later.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk that later. But like with this game, right? Like if you see, like I want to highlight something which Arun pointed out also. Like Arteta is building this team this entire season. You see from the beginning. Initially, like he like developed the defense. The defense is like little bit strong now. Like I won't say it's like a world-class defense, but a defense which you can trust. Now, if you see, right, like from whatever this said, like the midfield pairing, like maybe it is for instance, like after Partey coming, Xhaka performing better, and then like now Sabella, but like it is not like too much of a coincidence because like even with all the personal changes, it is still working. So there is like some ground rules or some basic things which the team has developed. So you can see now the midfielders are also developed. Like whoever is playing there, like they are doing some good things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take the attacking front, right, like if you take the last 5-6 games, like again, there also you have seen like a lot of players playing and are doing the same thing. Like say, even when Pepe was playing, or like Odegaard, or like he is, or even like say the other guys, like whomever we are playing, except for one big W. Like all the other
we'll get back to
playing,
that W.
Right?
Let's talk about the W that is the win.
No,
Not about the big bad W.
No. When I say like all the players, right, it includes him also, which is not the case. But like all other players, right, like they are all contributing to the attack. So the attack is also developing slowly. And like, see, with this new combination of Odegaard and ESR, right, like it will be even more better because they are very good at interchanging and other things. Like I think like they give a different thing to what Pepe gives to the team.
Mm-hmm.
Pepe is actually good on the left, but like this pairing, right, like they are more interchangeable. See, I'm not right whether I'm right in saying this. Like this is something like the old Arsenal way of playing, or like Arsene Wenger's play when he had like a lot of good midfielders who will interchange and they will play. But that team didn't have a stability in this defense, which is like Arteta has built on. So I'm actually like excited to see how this new midfield pairing and how this total gameplay is going to go with the season coming, and we will definitely add few more players, like good players in that attacking area. So I'm more excited to see how this is going to turn out because like I could see a big difference to whatever we had at the start of the season.
Bob, do you because you are coming after some time, right? When you left, we were in really bad space, and now you are seeing this. So, do you see any difference, or what is the starking difference that you see between the time you left and the time you're back? Do you feel
it
that
feels like a
difference?
Honestly, because last time when I stopped watching football, it was back again against Leeds. So it was an away game, and then we lost the game. We drew the game 0-0 with our Pepe dancing and getting a red. That's when I stopped, and then when I started watching again this week. In fact, it was not my choice to start watching. It was probably more you're urging for me to come and talk in the pod that I started watching the game, and I watched the game actually. So I felt like the performance was actually much better when you compare to what was the first part of the season. Having said that, what I'm most impressed with I'm sure you guys would have actually spoken about in the past is about clearing a lot of those deadwoods in the transfer window, which was actually which was clearing up a lot of useful space that we need to fill in with some good players. And what we can really hope for is if we somehow manage to still hang on to whatever that the bare minimum expectations of what we want to achieve. I don't know if it's going to be even a top 6 spot or anything. The table looks really close, right? Between the I won't say the first, but yeah, from the second to the 10th, it looks really very close. If we put a string of games together and if we bind some good results, then it means that we are definitely going to be there hanging around in the first 6 spots, or probably closer to that. And then all that we need to do is just keep pushing. So I mean, if you look at in that aspect, this definitely this game was a confidence booster in all means, and I feel we have actually moved a step forward. Although there was actually numerous opportunities that we missed in between, I mean, poor refereeing and all those other things which happened against Wolves, and then.
I actually wanted to ask you about the poor refereeing, because I know your take on referees normally. So, what do you think of the refereeing though? We have so much going against us.
So with Luis, you could always expect something dramatic to happen, be it in a good or a bad way, and there is always an element of error that he would do to make it look bad, even though it's not actually bad. So that's what triggered the decision I felt against Wolves, and probably as the reason as to why his red card wasn't actually rescinded when they appealed for it. It was quite bizarre, and most of the people who were actually watching the game thought that it was definitely not a red card. Maybe I don't even think it was an yellow card, to be honest. So such things happen very often in the games.
Yeah.
No, not just that. For me, the concern is these two guys don't share that with me. But normal media in itself is against Arsenal, is what I feel. Right?
And they're against Luis as well, because for all the things that he keeps doing in every other game, right? So, which doesn't put up a good case for us to really talk about, or vouch for what could, I mean, possibly not. I mean, what's possibly shouldn't have happened, But yeah, anyway, that's history, and we were meant to lose. What's more pathetic is the way that. Leno handled the ball outside the area, which was completely mad. It was reminiscence of how Len's used to handle things, probably the Champions League final, I should say. But yeah, overall, I mean, if we were looking for a game to bounce back from those disappointments against Wolves and Villa, this was actually a perfect response, that I should say. Like Arun mentioned, it had all the elements of Newcastle. But yeah, I hope the guys were able to stick together, and then they tried to pull together the victory that they badly deserved. So yeah, now very happy with the result.
So, LN, coming back to you about the starting lineup, especially because you mentioned Pepe earlier, not just dropping Pepe, I mean, bringing in Lewis back and replacing Holding, who has been really good in the past couple of weeks as the CB pairing for like Lewis and Gabriel. Gabriel has not had a great game after he came back from his whole COVID recovery. And then bringing in Ceballos, that was more forced decision. So what was your thoughts when you saw the starting lineup?
Okay. Luis and Gabriel pairing, right? I think that will be the pairing we'll have for this season. The reason being,
oh really?
Yes. The reason
even after Holding Holding didn't make any mistakes in the couple of games.
Holding didn't make mistakes. Holding didn't make any mistakes much, but what Holding does is he's good at headers. Aerial duels, he's really good, but that is what you get it from him. But when you see Gabriel, right, he gives a little bit more than what Holding gives. But again,
I get it. I get Gabriel's reasoning. My question is
come back. So I'll come back. So Holding and Gabriel are fighting for a single spot. The reason being, Luis is the leader we are seeing at the back. We don't have leaders at the back at the moment, and David Luiz is actually doing that role. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's a different thing. We don't have anybody capable other than, because with Martinez, right, he is able to control the entire defense. Leno is not that kind of a player. He's more like a player who does his role. but not a leader at the back. So they need a leader at the back, and that is what David Luiz is giving. So Luiz will definitely play like one defender like whenever he's available or like whenever he's fit. The second defender is where like the spot is having a fight, which is actually a good thing because a guy like holding in the bench, right, means that we are having a strength in the team. So that is why like I was okay with that. But like again, Ceballos we know is a post change as well as like Leno coming back because Ryan, even though he did work, he's the second goalie. So the front area is where like I was like surprised because like see Pepe is in good form now and he's more like a confidence player. So and ESR right, he's playing continuously. Like I fear a burnout there. So I thought this was a good game for him to rest because Odegaard has practiced with the team for a few weeks now and so he can start the game. So I thought Odegaard will replace ESR, but like I was surprised to see both ESR and Odegaard playing. But again, having said that, that is going to be the thing like that is going to happen maybe in the next season if we get Odegaard, like because I see that as a future pairing too. Because they both like can give a lot of dimension and a lot of things for our attack.
And also maybe
Another
it is
thing
a
which I felt was,
yeah, it might be a
like
reason of
Pepe
like
is
Europa.
invested for Benefica game.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
we have a Europa game and like Pepe is like an awesome guy in Europa. If you see this season, he is like a big difference there on the left. So maybe that could also be a reason why Pepe was not used.
That is probably the reason because when I saw the lineup, I was surprised too to not see Pepe in there. But then it made more sense like when I saw the rest of the people on the pitch because if you see Arteta, like many things that he does, there's definitely like a hint of Pep in a lot of things that he does, like the way in which he rotates the players, the way in which the ball progresses. When he started and we were playing like the three at the back, it was all about like those triangles and the way we press as well. Like, Pep's ideology is that you're not supposed to be like, you lose the ball, you get it back within 3 seconds. He's got the 3 second rule.
Yeah.
Arteta is trying to implement something. Well, that's not possible with like the kind of players that we have currently. It could be possible if we do drill the team together, but that's what I saw. Like I saw the fact that ESR was playing here meant that he was probably not going to be playing against Benfica. Saka is not going to be playing against
But
Benfica.
Arun, the other question regarding that decision is it a reason that like Bamford I think came out and said
Yeah, that
Alioski
could
is looking
possibly be.
forward to
Yeah, that could
playing
possibly
against
be a
Pepe?
very good, very important reason as well because I saw that and I was like, okay, maybe we avoided a card situation. Pepe, we've been talking about Pepe's confidence. Yeah, he's very confident right now. And though it might seem like a bizarre decision to drop him for this game, uh, it was the very same game with Alioski that he got the red card, right? So
Yeah.
it's basically just like trying to avoid a mistake from happening. I call
But
it.
I loved how Saka
No.
roasted Alioski the whole game.
Oh yeah,
Alioski was
Saka was.
played out
That's a,
of the game.
yeah, that's the thing. Like I feel that for
And Alioski was subbed in the like just
Yeah.
because after too.
54th minute, yeah. That's the thing. So I feel that like these changes that we had out of the players that who played, probably Ava might take his spot again, and then it would be Pepe coming back for Saka. Laka will be back for Benfica. So it's about rotation, and right now we have.
I don't know. I have like a question there. Like again, with this starting lineup and the Europa, like one of the major issues for us was like not having a number 10.
Yeah.
Even
Now
in
we have
Premier
to.
League. And the way it was working in Europa was because ESR was playing as number 10 there, or like we had like a proper number 10 there. Now we have Benefica and then we have City, like two important games, like if you see. And if you're playing both Odegaard and ESR together, right? You see,
No.
Odegaard is again like.
He won't.
No, I'm not saying
Inside
for
won't-
Benefica game. No, I'm not saying for like for now, right? Who will play as number 10 in the Europa game, like against Benefica? Because if
yeah.
you're going to play ESR continuously for 3 games, he's going to get tired out. Like he's like
No.
a very
ESR
starting-
won't play Benfica. Yeah, ESR won't play Benfica. It'll be Odegaard. It'll be Odegaard.
And ESR will be back for City game. Like that's what I
ESR
also thought.
For City again, we are not going to be playing both of them. Only one of them. We're playing both of them against City is suicide. That's like giving the match away. That's like bending over right at the beginning. Like you're saying that okay, we are trying to attack against a team that is like scoring goals for fun and are probably like 10 points to the top. Like they have a lead. You go to this game with like ESR and Odegaard, that's suicide. So you definitely have to go with people. I think for City we might probably go back to a back three. But for this one, for the one against Benfica, it's definitely going to be Odegaard playing. I would be very surprised if ESR does start. if ESR and Odegaard both play, it means that we are definitely not going to be playing a number 10 against City. So that's going to be like a different game, So
yeah, but again, for me the question is, I don't think so. I don't think we'll go back to a back three. I don't think we have moved past the back three stage. I don't think Arteta would go back to a back three.
We won't go. No, we won't go. But if we play as Arun said, two number 10s in Benefica game also, then definitely we have to play a back three, or else we'll definitely lose, because without a number 10, right, this back four will not work.
No, I think the difference would be we'll have Tierney back, so we might have some kind of a rotation with Saka, or that's one of the reasons why I think the number 10. I think we are not going to play without a number 10 against City. That's not going to happen. At least that's what I see. I don't think we'll play a game against City without a number 10. Whether that number 10 is
just to give a different viewpoint. Just to give a different viewpoint. You're saying Tierney back, right? Assume a 3-4-3 with Holding, Lewis, and Gabriel, and Tierney as a wing back will give you more attacking options as well as a defensive stability against City.
Yeah, but
you give more power to Tierney to go on attack. Don't worry about defending much.
No, that sounds like a good idea. But my point is, will Arteta do it? And my point is that Arteta will not do it.
No, but the thing is, you see the back three as a stage in the evolution of the Arteta's Arsenal. But I see back three as a play. A back three has to be used in situations where you have to use. Wenger has gone into so many games with a cavalier approach where he needed to have taken a defensive approach and lost the game. I think Arteta is a bit more pragmatic, as someone who's seeing this back three as a play that should be used in certain situations, and not as a part of the evolution. That's what
but my point. Sorry.
I'll just add one more point to what Arun said. If you are not actually being a Roman in Rome, then what's I mean, there's no point to it.
No, I get it, but my point is, even in this game, right, when we introduced Holding into it, we went to a sort of a back three. But I feel that Arteta has moved this team away from a back three dependent team. Back three would be used in a particular scenario, but not in a starting lineup. That's my point.
I see that particular scenario being the City game right from the beginning, right from the first minute. That's the scenario. That's a play that I see.
Well, we can have.
You actually play more, or you have your players set in a more fluid formation, that you sort of give them a feeling that you're starting with back four, but then you actually flip your players intelligently during a game. But I think you in my opinion, I don't think you have the personnel to perform that. With all due respect to all the players that we have, I don't think we are there yet but
that's why I said Tierney, because when Tierney comes back, you have a wing back who could actually defend and attack. So
in a back four, he's not a wing back. In a back four, he's not a wing back. He's a left back or a full back. That's a big difference.
Yeah, but he's a full back who could do it. Yeah. Who could do it? That's the whole point that I've been making, and I don't think Arteta will go back to back four. Let's get back to this after the game. I think all you guys would be. We should actually have a bet on it, and then I could win all $30 or whatever onto it.
There's a very high possibility that you would win the bet, because, like I said, Arteta might end up making the same. Though I would like him to be pragmatic, he might end up making the same Wenger mistake, trying to go all-out attack against a City team that's killing everybody.
Well, let's see. So coming back to our game, actually, the Leeds game, Bob, what do you think of the goals? Auba with a hat trick, ESR playing well, Saka doing what he does now. It's become kind of a routine to see Saka being one of the best players that we have. So how good was the goal, especially the first one?
First one was a typical Auba goal.
But he usually bends it to the far post, right?
For the far corner. But I think that's where he made a difference this time by actually cutting in and just I probably he would have felt that So The goalie was sort of in between, and he had more chances to go straight into the near post than the far one. That was the difference in decision making. It would have been more typical Oba goal had he gone for the far corner there, but yeah, he chose for the near one, which is sweet. But what actually struck out to me was the way that what Saka was actually pressing high on the pitch there. And to be honest, I asked myself this question. I keep pinching myself to see if it's real, because I've not seen an academy player so much on the top of his game, and then so much the way that he actually dictates the game. I mean, it's been so long. We've had such a prodigy come from our academy right through the first team. And I mean, it feels so good to be real, to be honest. And of all the worst things to happen this season, I mean, although this season is much more from finished, Saka has been the brightest light that we could say, or we could talk about the things that he does. I mean, the first one, they judged to be not a penalty, but that didn't really stop him from doing the things that he's been doing all along. He pressed high again, and then the pressure that he created on the goalie made him to cause that mistake, and then found that perfect penalty for Oba to convert. I was really very happy for the hat trick that Oba got, because he badly needed to be back in goals. I mean, when Oba is scoring, the whole team is on high on confidence. It's just a shame that he couldn't get his fourth goal because of that, actually, the post there.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I think
he should have got 5-6. You see at the very beginning, right? No. Like there will be like a shot like where Aliaski dives and like saves it. Like
after Lewis shows a bit of his Ronaldinho skills and goes into
he goes into a crazy run where he did that against I think Wolves too, right? When he went on that crazy run forward. So he's been doing that for some time.
So that was like a clear goal scoring chance, like, and that was good defending from them, like which prevented it. And as like Bob said, like the post also, like it was a day like where Oba would have scored 5-6 normally.
But Bob, I think I felt that probably once we scored 4, we completely took we took our legs off the pedal, so we completely let them come back to us and then score those 2 goals there. I mean, I sort of agree with that header there from the set piece. That seems to be okay, but then the second goal is, I mean, it was schoolboy defending. I don't really know what.
It was lapse of concentration.
Hector Bellerin for you. He could score that goal like that, and then he could have a defense moment like that.
Chata was there. I thought probably he could have still stopped Helder Costa from scoring, but yeah, I think at least I'm happy that it didn't go along the way, the Newcastle way, I should say. So overall, it was decent performance, which sort of made us to get to a win after like 2 games at least. Yeah.
Arun, do you think that penalty that was overturned was a penalty or not? Because for me, it looked like a penalty. It looked a penalty, and they didn't show the other angle. The TV stuff they were showing was the angle from behind the goal, and that showed like there was no contact. But in the other angle that they were showing, especially the one that they showed first, it looked like there was a contact.
Looked like the clipping leg was
it
seemed like the referee didn't see the clipping leg.
There was nothing to complain about because we won it, but still, like, for me, the concern is this again, like, this is the 3rd game this is happening for us on the bounce.
Okay.
Right? And
I want to look at the bigger picture rather than just looking at it happening to us. For me, the worrying factor is happening.
Yeah.
Forget about like us. Like, look at Sheffield United. Like, they got decisions overturned. They got bad decisions, and now they're like, not just because of the decisions that they are in the relegation spots, but for a team in relegation spot, those decisions make a huge difference. And that's what worries me more than like it happening to us, because I don't really believe in the conspiracy that everybody is against us and out to get us and all the referees. I don't really believe in that.
No, concept. I don't think so. That's where I don't agree with all of you guys, especially. So in the commentators, when the commentators are mentioning, right, like they were mentioning that that Saka's penalty is not a penalty, it's a soft penalty. But then when Bamford went down and the penalty was not given, all the commentators were going, oh, that's a penalty.
See,
If this is not a penalty, then that's not a penalty.
No. Commentators are always biased against Arsenal, so don't go by them.
No, not just the commentators, even the pundits and so-called pundits of the TV.
No, that is what I'm going to say. Like, say, I agree with you perfectly on, like, say, if Bamford penalty was given, Saka's penalty should also be given. Like, both are almost similar in it. But what I was actually happy in this game is, like, the referee was consistent. See, that clearly showed, like, he didn't give Saka, he didn't give Bamford also. It was not like he gave, like, Bamford alone and not giving Saka. Then the consistency will come in. But, like, he was consistent.
Is consistently bad good than consistently
No, the issue for
consistently bad.
Issue for us is, like, we are comparing two different referees. One who's, like, good, very bad, and, like, he gives, like, decisions, like, against us, with another referee who's, like, giving decisions correct, or, like, giving decisions the proper way, like what he gives across all the games. It might still be wrong, but, like, he gives the same way across all the games. But the issue all this comes to is that we are comparing two different referees giving two different decisions for the same incident. But if you say the same referees, right, like, it is like having a consistency. The worst part in EPL is, like, many of the referees are bad, so you see a lot of bad decisions now. Like, see, the Southampton decisions are all, like, see, you said, like, they got, like, reverted it back, but, like, you should have seen that incident, like, that was, like, real worse.
Yeah.
Plus,
compared to us.
To just address your point about, like, being inconsistently bad, it's all these decisions are basically interpretations of the law. And if the law is being interpreted, I don't know if it's right or wrong. It's up to the referee at that point. But if it's being interpreted the same way across two incidents by the same referee, then I think that's not a problem at that point. But then the very fact that, like, you're talking about decisions coming like this, yeah, I do agree.
No, not just that. See, the problem is this is not as prevalent in EPL in any other leagues, right? Like in any other leagues or in Champions League, or I mean, for example, today Barcelona, they got a penalty which is not a penalty. Yeah, it happens. But the question is how consistent that is happening.
Yeah, that's my point as well. It's inconsistent, and there are huge issues as a whole for the Premier League and not just for Arsenal. That's my point. That's my point. Because
it is happening for Arsenal much more than anyone else. Like, this is the third continuous week.
That just comes down to our poor luck on that particular day.
We cannot say that, right? Like, how is
no,
that?
Or like, the other thing,
because if you can say that the referees are all against us, that would have led to a lot of issues, a lot of complaints, a lot of, like, like inquiries going on, and that would definitely, like, it's against our belief in football as a whole. That's the thing. Like, if you think about it, it's totally going against our belief in football being a fair game with a referee as a whole. It doesn't make any sense. It cannot be the referees all conspiring against one team. We are playing bad, and when you're playing bad, you want these decisions to go in your favor. And when they don't go in your favor, it's obviously going to feel like the entire world is against you. And that's what we've been having all this season. For me, like, it doesn't mean that.
Because I'll give you a different viewpoint. I'll give you a different viewpoint on this. Like, one is, like, I'll give two things. One is, like, you consider Europa and other things, right? That, right, like, if you see, right, like, many referees are not English.
Yeah,
and the reason
mostly
being, like,
Italian.
The FA Cup, like, the FA, right, like, they protect the referees too much, so they are, like, ready to make mistakes because they know there's no consequences. And that has deteriorated the refereeing standard of Englishmen, and, like, that is why you're not seeing them in the major tournaments. Second thing is, right, many referees, I won't say even English referees, like, many referees in all games, not only football, they tend to favor the team pitches, or they, like, bigger teams, or, like, they tend to favor bigger players. Say, for example, a decision against Messi or Ronaldo, right, like, referee will give 99% of the time, even though it might be wrong. That is because, like, of that players thing. Arsenal in the past, right, like, when we are invincibles and everything, all those 50-50 decisions will be in our favor. Many teams have been affected by that. Now, Arsenal have declined a lot, so the other teams are looking like bigger teams than us. So the referees are favoring them. That is why you see against big teams, right? We get a lot of decisions which is against us. So that is also a factor. I'm just, like, trying to put from, see, refereeing in English is, like, bad. I'm not denying that. But this is also adding a lot to us, and that is why the last few years, right, we see more decisions against us.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Alan, because I think that will carry on in players' mind, and that will carry on in the referee's mind too, and that will influence them to make a decision partly. So,
The
if
player's
I ask
reputation.
you, I mean, what do you think of Luis? So you will say, you suddenly
Red card
think
guy.
you're going to be talking good about him or bad about him, because he's equally good and he's equally bad. So, I mean, on his day. So if you say, oh yeah, Luis got a red card, and you wouldn't actually ask it more than once, because you'd be almost certain that he is prone to making more errors, which leads to a red card. So in a similar way, I mean, if we are actually and players in such a way, they are very manipulative, right? So they could know, oh yeah, so this player is sort of unstable, and we can sort of push him to break him to a position, or put ourselves in a position where he could make a mistake and then get us a card. So yeah, so I mean, if there are good referees, then possibly we could come out unscathed. But if there are poor referees, um, glory hunters like Mike Dean, I should say, we are definitely in trouble for such a things. Definitely.
No, why I raised that in Arun is because when even the Saka goal, remember when everyone was asking, did he mean it? The same thing, like even the commentators were mentioning that the goal that ESR created for Abba for the header,
The final goal.
they were like, did he mean it? Why is this question not coming up for any other players but for Arsenal
Because
players?
the ball is not bending, it is not going anywhere towards the goal, and it needed Aubameyang there. It was obvious that it was not a shot at the goal.
Yeah.
Same thing for Saka. They probably tried a shot. It was meant, probably Saka's thing was meant to be a cross. It became a goal. This one was meant to be a goal. It became a cross. It's just how it was played. I mean, like, it's easy to. Like,
No,
again,
my question is like, why
it's again-
why is this
No, it's again
media
the same
against
thing,
Arsenal, right? Like why?
No, it's not media against Arsenal. It is more, let's say, let me put it in a perspective. If KDB does the same thing, right? Even he might have tried for the goal and it became a cross.
Yeah.
They will say that's a perfect cross.
Yeah.
Again, it's players' reputation. ESR, Saka are all players like who are just coming in. It's
how
the
many
same
times
thing
has
again.
ESR done this before? What is the sample size that we have to compare and say that?
No, but
yes,
but
we tried it.
that's the thing. Like,
but
it
no,
will take time.
But the thing is, the same is not happening for United players. When Greenwood does it, everyone goes like, "Oh my God, Greenwood does it."
United,
right?
United are
That's the
darling
whole
of
thing.
like English Premier League. United does anything
okay,
like they become
okay,
like big guys.
Let's leave United. When Jack Grealish does it, how many seasons have Jack Grealish done it? Right? Grealish has done it like 2 times.
Going on. Greenwood is English.
Yeah, I mean, Saka is English.
Saka is English too.
ESR
Saka
is English.
True.
Yeah.
True. But
so,
yeah.
But
No,
that's
because of, okay, I understand what you're saying, but let's think about it this way. If the commentators were really against us and the media was really against us, there would be not one positive comment about Arsenal. I'm
not saying everyone is against us. I'm just saying like the majority of media is against us.
The majority of media, I don't understand who you mean by the majority of media.
Like Sky Sports, if you see Sky Sports, if you see all those pundits from whatever, right? Like
let me put it in a way. Let me put it in a different perspective again here. We are the reason for that. Because if you take any other club, if somebody says like this, right, their fans will not react like the way we are reacting. And for a media, right, which needs money, like that is big news. Like they want to do that purposefully so that like they get more like viewership, they get like more revenues, everything. So we
it's
are
to trigger
AFTV.
It's to trigger AFTV.
Yes. No, that is what I'm not for that. Like I'm just saying, like that is the main reason, and that is why I said at the beginning, because commentators are biased against us for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they don't value our players or anything. They see in it. We all know Saka is a good player, but saying anything against Saka, right, will make huge number of people go against saying those things on Twitter, like sharing those videos, everything, which is again like a big thing for them.
Even you're bringing it up as a topic in the discussion on YouTube, which is going on YouTube and it's going to be available on the internet. See, this is exactly what the commentators want. Ellen's point makes a lot of sense now.
Okay.
And you're the example.
Let's get back to the game, Bob. About the goal that Hector Bellerin scores. I mean, you like the pass from Ceballos. I just hate Ceballos for everything. I mean, he might have a good game, but I still don't value him as a good midfielder. For me, he's too regressive, too passive in his passing. But that was a moment of magic.
See, sadly, we have more than one such players to cherish about at this point in time. I mean, Ceballos on his day, if he is actually playing well, and then I mean, he's sort of Luis's kick in times that he is making those erratic errors, which leads to goals, or which leads to the opposition's press. But I thought at that point in time, that moment that the pass that he gave for Bellerin, that was world class. I mean, added to it, Bellerin as well made the move, in which was brightly done. I can't. I mean, my jury is still open on Ceballos, and if I give him a verdict of how he has been over the last 1.5 years or so, I would really pass the chance to sign him on a permanent deal, because having seen him or having watched him in close circles, I wouldn't really want such a player. And all that we're looking for is an upgrade or a better player than what he is. And I feel most of you agree with me on that.
Actually, Real Madrid has come up with a number, I think 20 million, and you
million.
25 million, and you can have the player.
Yeah.
So
what do you say about that?
Himself, in the big stage in the Premier League, his value is not going to be any higher than what it is. So they are just trying to cash it out as much as they can. And with post-COVID, I mean, nobody has got the money to spend. So you would find a lot of cut price deals, and that's where we have to be smart enough in not really taking up the chance. There should not be any sentiment factor behind all these things, and then we have to be looking at better players. I mean, I've not been looking at other leagues quite a lot these days, thanks to my wilderness. But Zakaria from Mönchengladbach is some player which I really admire, and then I feel he's got the agility, and he's got the height, and he's got the physique to really come and play in the Premier League. And
he's Swiss, so he could have a partnership with Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, possibly. That's the other thing. But yeah, I mean, I felt he should be the sort of players that we should be looking at. Again, he is tried and untested, so we're not sure how he's going to be performing in England after what he's been doing in Germany. But back to Ceballos, probably I would not really find it useful to having in the team for a long-term future. He did serve a good purpose with his loan, and we are getting a lot of benefit from it. But I think that should be good enough for him.
Okay, let me ask a question based on what you said. Let me ask a question for Bob and all of you guys. So we have Xhaka and we have Partey, and Ceballos is currently being seen as a second player behind that position, right? Like someone who could be dynamic and create stuff. But we are forgetting that like Xhaka is probably the only defensive midfielder we have, and we've spoken a lot about him, against him. Like we know his deficiencies. So are we like concentrating more on like that Partey midfielder, number 8, and not looking at like the defensive midfielder that we should be looking at? And in this situation, and with the post-COVID, like the deficiencies in finances that all the clubs should be having, would it make more sense for us to like invest that 25 million on Ceballos and probably like put another 25 million for another defensive midfielder?
No, I don't think so. Because for me, I don't think we are talking about positional sense. Like when we are saying we need another central midfielder, we are not talking just about a backup for Partey. For me, at least, it's like it's a central midfielder who could do something, right? It's not going to be a defensive, like at least from what I can see from Arteta's team, it's not a defensive like it's a double pivot, but it's not a defensive midfielder. One is a defensive midfielder and another goes forward. That's not how the team works from what I can see. So it's about two midfielders.
Okay, I'm going to be again what to say,
Controversial.
alone person here. Yeah, alone person here. There are like talks or rumors going on that like we are extending one more year for David Luiz,
Yeah.
with a note saying that like he won't be playing much as centre back next year, more like a leader or more like a coach kind of thing for the youngster. I feel David Luiz can do a big role as a backup defensive midfielder. The reason is he has those passing ranges and he can defend. Like he will make mistakes. I'm not saying that, and that is why I'm
No,
not saying
it's
him
not.
as a main person. If
No,
he's going to
you're
be
talking
that, right?
about the positives. What I'm talking about is doing the basics right, and David Lewis is
No.
not
I'm not
someone who
saying
can
that.
do
Like,
the
see,
basics right.
no. What I'm saying is
He
like,
could provide those
see, we are
great
talking
passes.
about no backup for Xhaka. It was more like no backup for Xhaka is what I felt when Arun was saying.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
we
yeah.
we
There's no
have
backup.
we have a backup for
No,
Xhaka.
not
Just
a
that
proper.
Who is it? Who
No,
is the
not a
backup
just
for
proper
that we are
Xhaka?
one.
not playing him.
Who is it?
Callum Chambers.
No, no, no.
The Chambers is. I will
Xhaka,
say Lewis is much more better than Callum Chambers.
yes, Chambers was the best player in a horrible Fulham team. That doesn't say a lot, and he's not played since. Chambers would definitely, as bad as Xhaka might be,
But
he's
also we
performing
do
really
have
well.
El Nini. We do have El Nini. We do have other people. I would never put David Lewis in my midfield because
No,
he
I'm
could
not
do
talking
the.
about David Luiz as a midfielder. I'm just talking about the options behind Xhaka that we have in the
No,
midfield
I
for
do.
that particular position that he does.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
See,
think.
again, no. Again, so let me correct it. I'm not saying like we'll play him there. What I'm trying to say to Arun is like we will not buy a player there because I feel Luis can play there if at all like there's an emergency.
I don't
That is
think
what
we
I'm
are.
trying to say with his passing range and other things.
Yeah,
See,
but
even like if he gets injured, right, like the first thing will always be El Nini or like any other player, like whomever we are signing up like as a center midfielder will play there. But like say if there are see the emergency will be like when there are multiple injuries. Like say Partey, even though he's not injury like prone in like Atletico, he's like injured prone here. Maybe like because of lack of preseason or could be various reasons. But like if two of your main players gets injured, right? Like then there is an emergency. That's what I'm trying to say. Because of Partey's injury, like or else right, if it was like I would have told Arun like say Partey and Xhaka they barely get injured, so that scenario will not happen. But like with Partey getting injured often now, right? We don't know what kind of injury he has got. And with our Arsenal team, right? I don't trust anybody. Tierney was like injury prone like before he joined us. And like they always say it's just like a minor thing and he's out for 2-3 weeks every time. So like I'm not comfortable saying that any of our players will be like fit definitely because of that. And that is why I said like in a bust case, with Luis being there, right? Like I don't think we'll buy a player, he will be a backup there. But I'm not saying he will start any games or anything. It's a very emergency case backup. So I think it's much more better like if we spend that money on somebody. But again, I'll put a different question like Arun has put out. If we need to sign a player from Real Madrid, like say Real Madrid is pushing us and we want to have some relationship and we need to get it. Will you spend that money on Odegaard?
Odegaard.
For now, yes. For now, from whatever I am looking for, because for me, even though you guys seem to think that he is providing the same kind of value, but I think he's a bit different than ESR in his gameplay. Like ESR likes to play on the run. He likes to run at defenders. He likes to pick out passes. He likes to run beyond the defenders. That's what ESR's game is about. And I think Odegaard is absolutely the other way around. I think Odegaard likes to play in front of him. Like he wants to receive the ball and spray the passes in front of him. Even in this game, I found him to be a little bit deeper than what ESR plays in number 10 usually is. So I think he is also a very neat passer. I found that about him. So based on whatever I have seen of him, the skills that he has, actually I loved one of the first touch he did. Like I think it was a ball from Cedric that he took down in the first touch, and it was so amazing seeing that cushioned first touch. So I think he's a better player. For 20 million, I would take 25 million. I would take Odegaard rather than
It's
Ceballos.
just 25 million between Ceballos and Odegaard all day.
Yeah. That's
and you don't want to go into a full season with just ESR as the number 10. So that would be suicidal to start with all the injuries and the luck that we've had with them. So yeah.
Plus we can hope that one of our midfielders who's coming back from loan, like either AMN or Willer, could probably be like better midfielders than what they were before they left. Like I see you shaking your head, Bob. Like I can totally understand. Eamon is probably not good enough to be a midfielder. He showed that in the game. Well, I mean, like let's give him a chance just to show that he could possibly be a good center midfielder at West Brom.
Yeah, I think I have this general feeling, right? Once Arteta is actually sort of shunting out players, he's not even willing to consider them in the second string games or games that that they can afford to be placed in. Um, I mean, whenever I read about Saliba, it baffles me as to what really happened at the scenes. I mean, behind the scenes at Arsenal, because every week he's been playing 90 minutes, and for him not to even get in a game like a Europa game or something like that completely is
No,
bizarre. So is the game.
no, the issue with Saliba was like he was not registered for Europa.
Yeah.
So the only option was like he should have played in Premier League or like worst case Carabao Cup.
EFL,
That he
yeah.
could have definitely played it. Like, but the problem at that time was like initially, right? Like at least like till the number 10 issue came as a big prominent thing. Like Arteta was not trusting the youngster. It was not only
just that. Not just that. I think
Saliba,
there
like,
is too much pressure for this season for us to experiment, right? We are on
No,
10th
it's
spot.
not experimenting. See,
We could
no,
talk
we
about
played
anything, but
Mustafi. No. We played Mustafi and others. Like Saliba was like better. There was an emergency situation in centre back, and we didn't even play him in EFL Cup. Like so, it has nothing to do with like say I'm not saying about Premier League. Like the initial period itself, like you see, right? Like until that ESR and others started performing big in Europa, like Arteta was not at all like playing any of the players, and even then also it was like because of people pressure and fans pressure, he started doing that. And now, after seeing the results, he's more confident. See, I'm not blaming Arteta that like he's a new coach. He's like afraid to try out something and it can backfire. So I'm not blaming him. But it's a lot of things happening at simultaneously. Like unfortunately, it affected Saliba's career because you saw Wesley Fofana, like who played along with Saliba, and like when they both were playing together, everybody was saying Saliba is better than Fofana, and Fofana has proved. Yeah, again, Leicester is like a complete team working in a proper way, so we cannot compare apples and oranges. But like, not even getting a chance, right? Like that kid will be affected for sure.
So for me, I think the reason probably could have also been that this was his first season. Like he was coming after a break. French league and the Premier League, there's like night and day. The difference is night and day. It's very obvious in which the way in which the players play, the teams play, and all that. Plus, like the other youngsters who are playing for us are all from the academy. No one's coming from outside of Arsenal. They know the Arsenal way. They know they're ingrained in this philosophy, and they know how to play with the system that the manager wants. It's much easier for them to transition. Whereas compared to Saliba, he's like I said, he's coming from a totally different league. It might not have been like probably the manager would have thought that it would be like pushing him like right in front, like right away, like pushing him to the danger right away. That could possibly be the reason too.
Arun, I feel this handbrake exists only for Arsenal. I mean, this mindset was actually instilled by Arsene Wenger that most likely the players would be coming from the French leagues at that point in time, and then Arsene Wenger will come out and say, "Oh, every time player comes in, they will take at least 6 months of adaptation time." But that doesn't seem to exist for other players who are actually, joining other clubs.
Part of other teams.
I feel the handbrake which we've been, cursed with for a long time, that any player who comes in from the French league. This happened even during when Lacazette came in, or even when Giroud came in, or Chamak.
Even when Giroud came in, and it stayed till Giroud left. So he was getting used to Arsenal and English league. Really left us.
No,
for me,
Bob has
I
brought me a
understand
different view. No. Bob has given me a different.
Just one thing,
Okay,
Ellen,
go ahead.
just to add one thing. I feel it's more a combination of his age, his experience, and the fact that he came from the French league, not just coming from the French league.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
I think we do have to have a Willian and Martinelli discussion at some time. Probably not during this part because we are running out of time. But
we would have that during the next part, I think, especially about Willian and Martinelli, and we should be talking about the situation that's happening. Let's wait and watch after the Europa game what is the team comprising of. But before that, let me put this up to you that Europa League is coming up, Ellen. So let's do the predictions, and also where do you see us ending up in Europa League? Right, we have to do two games. First of all, let's do the Benefica game. What is your prediction for the Benefica game?
See, I think like we will defeat Benefica across the two legs, but like I don't think we going till the end in Europa this year.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, what's the prediction?
The next, like the Thursday game, like the first game, like I think that we'll win it 2-1.
Okay, 2-1. And what about the City game we have in the weekend? Do you have any hopes on it?
Like I don't know, like whether it's a conspiracy, like to use that word for you. Like KDB is back when like he's like injured, like he's back when like he plays Arsenal. Like I think it has happened like twice or thrice now. Like I don't know like why it happens like that. But yeah, like I think like we will lose that again. Like we might score a goal, but I think we lose it as 1-2 there.
Okay. Bob, what are your predictions for Benefica game?
0-0.
You are not even giving us a win in the Benefica game, is it?
No, I think that will be a 0-0 game. I would fancy more of their chances in the second leg than in the first. So there'll be a handbrake, I feel. You might be able to even get a goal. But yeah, so I think mostly that could be a 0-0 game. For the City game, I think I'll go with LN to say that we are likely to lose. My score prediction is 1-3.
Okay, but do you see us going all the way in Europa? Because that seems to be the only way we could do it, right? Like we could. We are out of FA Cup. We are out of EFL. We don't have any chance of top 4.
With the cup games, it's always difficult to predict, So I mean, if we are actually in the touching distance, or if we actually scrape through some of these round of 16 and quarterfinals and all those sort of things, then we can ride on our luck during those days that we are going to have games, and then we hope that final push will help us to the final. But it's very early to say. If I were to give a prediction of what I think of right now, I would say no. But again, it's a cup game, so we may not know anything at all until we even go to the quarterfinal stage.
Okay. Arun, what are your predictions? Benfica game.
The Benfica game, the first leg, is it going to be home for us or away for us?
It doesn't matter. It's all happening.
Both are like a neutral venue.
I know both are happening in neutral venue because we do have the away goals too. That's why, like, Athens is going to be home for us. Is the first game in Rome, right? So that's away game for us.
Yeah, that's an away game for us.
Away game for us. I think it'll be like Bob said. We'll try to play out for a draw. So probably a 0-0, and even if it doesn't end that way, it'll probably be a 1-1. That's what I see, because it'll probably be even. And for the City game, it'll be a 3-0 or 3-1. City will win for sure. I don't see any way of like us doing anything in that game.
Come on, guys. Really?
Now, let's be realistic. I mean, like, let's not be those deluded Arsenal fans who think.
No, it's not. It's not about deluded Arsenal fan. Why I think I think differently, because I think the cup game we could win it, like Ellen says, we could win it 2-1. Because I think we are good in cup games mostly, and that's the reason. And the same with Manchester City game. I think we might draw the game. We might get a 1-1 draw, just because Arteta does well against big teams, especially. So I think it will be a 1-1 draw. So, anyways, it's a nice spot, guys.
For going all the way in Europa,
before you finish.
It's
sorry?
on Party, Katie, and going all the way in Europa.
No, before you finish, like I want to highlight one thing. I know Willian Martinelli will discuss later, but like say you asked why we lost against Aston Villa.
Less than 1 minute.
Less than 1 minute, so we cannot do it. We'll have Willian conversation in the next part, actually. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's been a nice part, and thank you so much for sticking together for 25 episodes. So
Thank you.
We'll talk after the next the couple of games. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.